So this is my social credit Discord bot. It's not solving any major problems or anything. It's more of just a joke between me and some buddies in a Discord server. And what it does is it monitors message content for anything that an authoritarian regime might deem to be problematic. Um, and then any praise of the state or the authoritarian regime um, kind of results in a increased social credit score. So let's show how it works. If I make just a neutral statement like, I'm going to the store today. See that there's nothing really that happens there. That doesn't have any impact. But if I say something like, I'm thinking about starting a revolt against this oppressive government. Now you can see that is going to be a problematic message when you're running a authoritarian regime. And so it flagged the message and it deducted the social credit. So now if we generate this report, it'll fetch our credit score from the back. And uh-oh, I've got 360. That's pretty low. We can appeal this decision, which runs a really complicated appeal process. It analyzes the message even further, really scrutinizes it, but it still rejected this. I'm just kidding. So if the user appeals it, they click that appeal button. All we do is set timeout, wait for 5 seconds, and then send the message back. It's kind of like the automated version of a complaint department that just files everything in the garbage. But yeah, that's the gist of this. If we praise the state, say, I love our organized collective government. Something like that. I don't know. There we go. See, now that should have increased my social credit score. Boom. There we go. So let's dive into the code. So this bot is a lot simpler than it used to be. I've had 3 iterations so far, and the current one is probably the architecture that I'm going to stick with. So the first version that I used, built used this compromise library to extract keywords and phrases out of individual sentences. And it was okay, but all it really was manual message parsing. Like you had to have really specific predefined um, scenarios for the bot to interact or to trigger certain things. But on the upside, it involved no API calls, right? You just install this library and then you run commands. It's not, sending anything out to cloud service or anything. But I wanted to try out something with machine learning. So I looked into some natural language processing and found this library, which actually uses Compromise under the hood, but it allows you to train your own machine learning model. And, this was my first time experimenting with AI and machine learning. And I learned just how important it is to have a huge amount of information because I was trying to manually generate training data to feed into this bot. And what you do when you manually create, 1,000 sentences or something, you introduce a lot of bias. You introduce a lot of patterns that you're probably not even aware of, but the bot will basically learn those patterns, and then you'll get a bunch of false positives and false negatives and all sorts of weird behavior. So I decided that machine learning is really cool, but I don't want to be the one who trains models like that. I would rather just generate a prompt, which is what I finally settled on. I was kind of frustrated with the outcome of this NLP library, and it's not the library's fault at all. It's my fault for poorly training the model itself. I'm not a data scientist, and I also don't have access to 30 trillion inputs, so what I finally settled on was using GPT, right? Was using OpenAI's API, and this is how simple it is. I was extremely surprised at how simple it is to build an AI wrapper nowadays. Now I understand why a lot of people call themselves AI experts because it's, at least today, it's so easy to wrap a prompt around the GPT API. You just got to design it with a few caveats in mind, but this is all it is, right? This is just I tell the bot what it is, and then tell it how to format the response, and then I parse that response. I mean, it can't get much simpler than that. Before GPT, I had all sorts of services and I had a ton of tests because this was actually a great opportunity. When you're training your own machine learning model, it's a great opportunity to test drive test driven development because you're training a model, you don't even know what's going on under the hood, but you have conditions that you want to evaluate. Given these conditions, you want to test that something comes back, right? If we say something that's problematic, we want the response to be flagged. So that's pretty much it for this bot. Feel free to take the project. I included the link to GitHub in the description of the video. Clone it, make the bot whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a social credit scoring system, but whatever. So yeah, see you in the next one.